Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita Sibidi. Now, in our first story, President Akufo-Addo has promised to set up permanent army barracks in the Upper East region to help deal with terrorist threats in border communities. They are addressing the Paramount Chief of the Boku traditional area while on a working visit. The president said government was well aware of the threats from terrorists from neighboring Burkina Faso and that the security forces are being beefed up to be able to deal with such threats.
You are aware of the measures that the government is taking to strengthen the security agencies here and protect us from terrorist attacks emanating from Burkina Faso. And I'm happy to inform you that a permanent barracks is going to be established here in this area to be able to address the issue of terrorism.
Away from that, the Fix the Country campaigners have described as unlawful a case brought against them by the Attorney General at Accra High Court, seeking to restrain them from embarking on a street protest. The campaigners say only a police officer can make a request under the Public Order Act to restrain protesters from hitting the streets and want the Attorney General to stay off the case. The campaigners have been mobilizing support to demand better living conditions, but have so far been frustrated in their efforts to take this onto the streets. Court correspondent Joseph Akablé reports.
A member of the legal team for the campaigners, Julius Asinyo, urged the court to dismiss the case. He explained that it cannot hear a matter bordering on the Public Order Act filed in the name of the Republic instead of a police officer. He also raised a second objection regarding the signatory to the court documents. He stated that they are signed by one Thomas Safu, who does not indicate whether he is an attorney at the office of the AG or with the police service. He concluded by stating that the current case is of a civil nature and the Attorney General's office has not been named as a defendant. Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame described the application as completely misconceived and a misunderstanding of the fundamental laws regarding this application. He explained that every step within the context of the Public Order Act is a criminal matter. He continued that under Article 88 of the Constitution, the Attorney General is responsible for the initiation of all civil and criminal matters involving the Republic. He further rebutted the claim that the police service is a separate legal entity. He responded that it's a pure public institution and its office is empowered by law to act on its behalf. Justice Ruby Aite adjourned the matter to June 25 to deliver her ruling. The AG then notified the court of a Facebook post by one Bakavooks calling him a puppet. He indicated that he may initiate appropriate contempt proceedings against such commentary should it continue. Justice Aite urged the AG to ignore such comments. Mr. Dame responded that such comments by persons who are part of the case is not appropriate. The said Facebook handle has since posted yet again, this time explaining that the Public Order Act does not entitle the AG to use the police as puppets. The conveners of the protest are meanwhile hopeful of a favorable court decision on Friday.
On Friday will be the ruling on the preliminary objections before they will have to make their cases. Okay. Now, until then, we don't know. But for us, we're hoping that our legal team have made a good objections, and then that will be taken in good faith by the judge, and then the ruling will be made in that regard.
I suffer as much as the normal Ghanaian suffers, you know, and it's something that's been within my heart. It's sad. It's sad to see Ghanaians not being able to survive. People are living, but they're not able to survive, and it's something that we need to honestly speak about. You know, when we talk about the lack of employment, when we talk about, you know, galamsey, these are things that are happening in the country that I live in, you know, and people have turned a blind eye to it, and I refuse to turn a blind eye to it. I care about Ghanaians. I have family in Ghana. I mean, I could easily be living in New York and living my best life, but I chose to speak for people whose voices cannot be heard.
And so on June 25, should the court uphold the objections raised by the campaigners, it will terminate this particular application that they are restrained from pouring onto the street to protest. On the other hand, should the court dismiss it, it paves way for the substantive legal arguments on whether or not they can go ahead to stage a street protest in the midst of COVID-19 and the imposition of the Restrictions Act, which is still in force. Reporting for JoyNews from the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akablé.
Away from that, Deputy Director General of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Poku Dankwa, says that GNPC will continue to share needed data with the Ghana Maritime Authority as a means of securing a sustainable maritime space. Speaking at the 100th celebration of World Hydrography Day, Dr. Dankwa noted this contribution will go a long way in assisting the authority to secure and sustain a well-developed maritime space as a means of curtailing unwanted maritime traffic, which impedes effective maritime trade.
Government's energy policy goal is to sustainably develop and manage Ghana's oil and gas resources in a transparent and environmentally responsible manner for the benefit of every Ghanaian now and in the future. GNPC and our partners have most of our activities within the exclusive economic zone, marine environment, with 3 producing fields and an additional 1, which is up and coming. Development all offshore, the role of the marine environment, and for that matter, hydrography in the Ghanaian economy cannot be overemphasized. We recognize the need to have a secure and sustainable, well-developed maritime space in which our assets such as FPSOs, pipelines, wells are all well mapped out and secure from unwanted marine traffic and other activities. GNPC believes in the work and activities of the National Hydrographic and Oceanographic Committee, hence contributes to it by providing marine and engineering expertise. GNPC, we do this by sharing derived bathymetry data with the Working Committee. GNPC's data coverage over Ghana's maritime space is quite vast and it's always growing.
Meanwhile, Deputy Director General of Finance and Administration at the Ghana Maritime Authority, Yao Akosa Entry, wants Ghana to invest more in surveying of the country's sea floor. He explains adequate data on the topography of Ghana's sea waters will facilitate construction of ports and landing sites, protect maritime environment, and ensure safety of navigation.
Seas and the oceans represent a vast resource for food, minerals, resources, energy, water, biomedicines, and infrastructure, which in turn creates wealth for individuals and nations. Each of these important and growing marine sectors also contributes to the creation of jobs. It is believed that a healthy ocean contributes about $1.5 trillion to the global economy annually and has an estimated net asset value of $24 trillion. However, without good maps and charts of the seas, these benefits will be difficult to realize. Every human activity conducted in, on, or under the seas depends on knowing the topography of the sea floor and the insight into the tides and currents of the seas. Despite this, many parts of the world seas, oceans, and coastal waters remain unsurveyed. This has a major impact on the effective management, sustainable exploitation, and well-informed policing of the seas and the oceans.
Now, the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kweku Afriyie, has disclosed that 69% of Ghana's land is affected by soil degradation, the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, according to him, about 54,700 kilometers of Ghana's agricultural land has been affected by severe sheet and gully erosion, with 58% occurring in the northern and upper regions. Martina Bugri reports.
Speaking at a ceremony to mark the 2021 World Day to combat desertification and drought in Miao, in the northern region, the chief director at the ministries, Kwame Kwanson, who read the speech on behalf of the minister, said the cause of environmental degradation due to unsustainable use of land for agriculture, among others, stood at 2.8% of the gross domestic product in 2017.
69% of Ghana's land is affected by moderate to severe soil degradation. The average for sub-Saharan Africa is 43%. It is also documented that about 54,700 square kilometers of Ghana's agricultural land has been affected by severe sheet and gully erosion, with 58% occurring in the northern and upper regions. The cause of environmental degradation due to unsustainable use of land for agriculture, forest and mining stands at 2.8% of GDP, looking at the 2017 figures. If the current
In Ghana, fire incidents have become a regular occurrence, with hundreds of lives and millions of cedis lost every year. Hardly a day passes without news of a fire outbreak in one part of the country or the other. The cause of such occurrences has mostly been associated with quality of electrical cables and their lifespan. And this report, correspondent Inathalia Kwanza tells us about how a Ghanaian company with a strong commitment to growth and sustainability of Africa's energy sector, Leroy Group, seeks to leverage its vast experience and technical expertise to introduce solutions to current and future challenges facing the power sector across the continent.
The lifespan of electrical cables in building is often between 10 and 20 years, but in Ghana, not many people would check their wiring even after several decades, a situation that leads to fire outbreaks. It is against this backdrop that Leroy Cables Limited has begun a nationwide training of industrial players and professionals to create synergy and resolution on the use of quality electrical cables and accessories. The training also seeks to delve deeper into stakeholders' demand scope and how Leroy Cables Limited can support the delivery of quality electrical engineering services. Speaking at a two-day seminar organized for electricians in the Western region on the theme Buy Made in Ghana Cables and Accessories, a sustainable approach in creating a market for local industries, Commercial Manager Leroy Cables Limited Erasmus Edu explained that in wiring any house or institution, the right cable must be used for the right job, and that a qualified electrician who is well versed for the job must be able to do it.
We are ensuring that they are using quality for their wiring works, and then it is going a long way to serve as a good service they are providing to their client and then the entire nation. We want to use this medium to, train as many certified electricians as we can, so that the issues of fire outbreak that has to do with poor electrical works or poor electrical or substandard electrical products are minimized or is curtailed for good. We want to also tell Ghanaians that we have what it takes to produce quality electrical cables and accessories here in Ghana, and Leroy Cables, we are well positioned for that.
Eshan Bana of the Energy Commission on its part advised Ghanaians to be safety cautious by adhering to the average 10 years rewiring of building instituted by the Energy Commission to avoid any unfavorable surprises.
Electrical wiring regulation 2011, LI 2008, they have given a specific period for every facility to be tested from after 10 years up to 20 years. From 10 years to 20 years, every 2 to 3 years, you have to test insulation resistance of the cable to know the quality of the cable, because when the cable ages, it begins to be cracking, to know the quality of the cable, so that we avoid fire outbreak in most of the colonies, and this will help the regulation go forward.
Some participants at the training who spoke to JoyNews were positive if such training are organized periodically, fire outbreaks will be a thing of the past.
That is fake cables that are in the system. You see, some of the cables are not quality. And now we've all known the quality cable that we need to use to prevent these fire outbreaks. So from hence, I believe my members are going to use this cable, patronize it well, so that we will avoid those fire outbreaks.
It educates you. Now you know the type of cable you're supposed to buy in the market. At least Ghana, we deserve. We want improvement, more improvement in our nation. So we want better companies to bring better things in the country.
For Joy News, in Athalia Kwanza, Takoradi.
And that's how we end the AM News with me, Mapisa CBD. The AM Show continues with Benjamin and Mama V.
To win.
We have won.
I've changed my name.
Benjamin Godwin Akakpo.
No, Godwin. That's it. Henceforth, when you see me, God to win. If you don't know, just on a lighter note. A brilliant morning. And this song was on my heart yesterday morning. So when I heard it playing today, when our production team set it up, I was like, hey.
It was on somebody else's heart too.
Whose? Yours?
Echo, I think.
Oh.
I hope I'm right.
Well,
yeah.
Looks like this morning we nailed it. And it's, this song always gets me reflecting when he talks about robbers coming by, not seeing you. I mean, it doesn't mean that if some things happen to you in life, it means God is outside of your circle or he's left you, abandoned you. But it just tells you of some of the things that God saves us from that we don't even realize. And we think, oh, it's all normal stuff. The fact that you're breathing right now, you've won. Someone didn't even wake up to breathe.
Surely he has borne our griefs.
Yeah.
Surely. And he's carried our sorrows. Hallelujah, somebody.
Amen,
when
somebody.
you feel like losing or when you feel like you've lost, that's when you have to declare that you have won. So I am a winner. I have won. I have won not because I deserve it or because I did some good to win. I have won because Christ won for me.
There's something called unmerited favor.
Yes, man.
So if you look at our own selves, you've got me in the mood this morning.
I am righteousness through Christ. That's my declaration this morning. What is yours as you're watching us? What's today's date again? Like, what's the mood these days? Is it one of like, are you broke? Like,
Oh, you see, I learned a long time ago not to. First of all, let me just say this. I just realized at a point, not just through readings and all of that, but if you tie your entire life to what you earn at the end of the month and all of that, it's a very dangerous thing to do. So I divorced that attitude a long time ago. And Charlie, brothers.
One of these days.
Yeah, legal galamsey. The legal type, just to stay afloat.
One of these days, I'll just activate the phone lines for about 5 minutes. Let's talk about the other things that we do that's not on the record. I mean, what actually really pays the bills.
You remember that guy? We pass here. Yeah, for happen. Else, Charlie. One thing, guy no to studio had the other day, I can't stay by plans. Yeah.
I have a very special birthday dedication before we get into the newspapers. It's from a very good friend of our show. He's sending a special happy birthday wishes to his first daughter, Mirabel Sefako Dafamapo. There you are, baby. It's your birthday today. She is at the Department of French at the University of Ghana. And your dad simply loves and adore you. That's the message to you, Sefako, you celebrate your birthday today. So, Member of Parliament for South Dai to his beautiful daughter. You see her on the screen there. It's her birthday today. Sefako, happy birthday to you. It's also your birthday, Bright Kwabena Arthur, our son, sound engineer, who has promised us, don't eat breakfast, don't eat lunch, it's all on me. So, but Bright, is it his side he gave us? That's him. Bright, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you, Bright. One more belated birthday wishes to Mrs. Beatrice Tete Bannerman. You're a true jewel and blessing. Aged graciously on this special day. We love you dearly. So if it's your birthday today, we haven't perhaps mentioned your name, but you know yourself. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you. Enjoy today. More blessings from the Almighty as you celebrate your birthday. All right, Ben, let's get into the newspapers.
Okay, so this morning I have the Daily Graphic, the Finder, the Daily Guide, and the Meridian newspaper. What do you have?
The Ghanaian Times, the Daily Dispatch, the Business and Financial Times, and the Daily Statesman.
All right, so I'll kickstart with the Daily Graphic. Pay more attention to moral education. That's according to the Presby moderator. And a lot to chew on page 16 as he talks about some of those matters. Ghana scores higher on Global Peace Index, and that is also on page 16 of the paper. I'll just take snippets of that. Quite an achievement, quite a feat. And it says, Ghana has been ranked 38th in the 15th edition of the Global Peace Index, a jump of 2 places from the previous year's ranking. The country scored 1.715 points to secure the second spot in Africa, while Mauritius, with 1.592 points, was 28th in the world and first in Africa. The two are the only African countries that made it to the top 40, although Mauritius dropped 3 positions from its earlier ranking. And it's good to know. Botswana comes in 3rd place, and globally, of course, some of these Scandinavian countries. But sometimes it gets me thinking what these Scandinavian countries are getting right. Like a lot of, whether you're talking about the human development, index, whether you're talking about peace, whether everything positive, they seem to be really high up there. And it's not that the polls or the surveys are biased. Education and all that, Finland and all those countries, Norway, it just happens that they are doing really well in these aspects. Some of the best places in the world in which to live. Tax stamps grow from 28 million in 2018 to 90 million in 2021. And basically the story telling us about how the affixing of tax stamps on alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages has grown exponentially. Should time suffice, I should give you some more details of that. Yesterday, we were telling you about the polls in Ethiopia getting started. Well, results have started trickling in as Ethiopian electorate defied all odds to cast their vote in a crucial parliamentary election. Early counting started as soon as voting ended, and some 42,000 polling stations opened, with one polling station serving a maximum of 1,500 electorate. The incumbent Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, 44, is expected to retain power in spite of the odds, including bad press, war in the Tigray region, among other things. But press was a fourth estate. Yes, we must say, Vaccine Technology Transfer Center to open in South Africa. It's also on page 5 of the paper. When you go to page 9, Swedish government toppled in no confidence vote. When you hear toppled, you might think there was some coup. Well, it was a legitimate coup, if you like, because when you have a system like the Swedish one, you can do this like we saw in Israel recently. Well, not exactly the same, but similar. President-elect Raisi issues warning over talks. It's all about the Iran nuclear deal. Let's come home. And on page 17, you must have followed that presser yesterday, that conference by the NDC opposing the CJ's petition against Dr. Aine. Grab details on page 17. The center spread of the paper, permanent military base to be established in Boku. That's according to the president. And of course, we've heard of some security challenges in the northern belt of the country recently, and fears of some people spilling over from Burkina Faso. More action needed to eradicate malaria. That's according to Professor Evelyn Koko Ansa. She is director of the Center for Malaria Research of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, Talo delivers SHS projects in Western and Ashanti, and no-show on Botiano Red Top Road 3 months after Assembly's promise. So that is exactly what is happening there. I'll bring you some details of this later. Let's do the Ghanaian Times.
Yep, Ghanaian Times newspaper. Here's what's on the front page. Second emergency and preparedness response project. World Bank approves $435 million for COVID-19 combat. Chalking listing of structures. Professor Samuel Kwabena Enim, the government statistician, was on our show yesterday. He's been also speaking to the Ghanaian Times, and he says 8 million houses has been counted so far. Armed robbers kill mobile money vendor at Okrasi. And Child Rights International's survey report says, actually talked to children, asked them to list their top 5 concerns, and guess what? They have done exactly that. And on top of that agenda is jobs, even for children between 12 and 17 years. They say that they are likely to flee Ghana by 2024 due to unemployment and corruption. Here are the other things the children listed: high level of poverty, corruption, high number of orphans and street children, and poor education were the top 5 of their social problems children were most concerned about. And it's interesting. What 12, 17-year-olds are thinking about is pretty much what adults are also thinking about, because on top of that agenda is unemployment, and that's our headache as well.
Do you recall that unscripted bit with the little girl? I mean, it hit me the first time. I watch it and sometimes it's funny, but the reality is, at that age, she's thinking, hey, and we'll go and we'll not get jobs. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you have even the children thinking like that. What kind of society are we building?
Because they live with the parents, they live with the adults, they live with us, and they hear our conversations, they see what we go through, and they worry it could be them someday. On page 3, the issue with the armed robbers. A 36-year-old mobile money vendor and teacher of Besiasi Basic School, Solomon Ahin, has been shot dead, and this happened on Saturday at Okrasi in the Eastern region by suspected armed robbers. We need to find a solution to this issue of mobile money. They seem to be easy targets for these robbers, and it can happen to one vendor like so many times. There's one just on our stretch, and it happens so often. When it happens, it almost sounds like it's no news, you know.
But after it happens, what precautionary measures? I remember at a former, place that I worked, there was a vendor close by, very busy place. I mean, the next day when we heard their place had been hit, it took us all by surprise. They had lost over 50,000 cedis in a hit.
Yeah. So I don't know, there has to be, because you talked about what changes after the first robbery. Something certainly changes. So they either make physical changes to the structure. Sometimes they change their closing hours. There's so many things that they do, but they still seem to be easy targets for these robbers. I'm not sure. Maybe one of the conversations with the police, perhaps, or the assembly, because they are so close. They are within the community. They are everywhere, really. There's also on page 3, police investigate Accra-Winneba Highway bullion van attack. Story says that the police in the central region are investigating an attack on a bullion van on the Otreko and Dominasi stretch of the Accra-Winneba Highway last Thursday by armed robbers. The driver and 2 policemen on board the van. They give details of the vehicle registration. They were transporting 550,000 Ghana cedis from a bank in Odoko. Okay, details of that, the bank and all of that given though, so you can check it out if you're interested in the details of that. But I guess what is important to us is the fact that police is on this beat. They're investigating this matter. And then more on the Dr. Oponin petitioning the CJ. I think it was in one of the newspapers yesterday, the Daily Guide. This time it's in the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and they talk about the fact that this will not be his first time trying to get the judge sitting on his case to recuse himself. So after 2 unsuccessful attempts to stop Supreme Court Judge Justice Clement Honyanuga from hearing the Cocoa Board 271 million Ghana cedis financial loss to the states, former Chief Executive Officer Dr. Stephen Kwabena Oponi of Cocoa Board has petitioned the Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Enieboa, over the matter. They don't have exactly details of the petition, but I guess, you know, knowing where we have come from and where we are, we pretty much have a fair idea what he wants the CJ to do. Let's check out what's on the back page of the paper, though. The United Nations High Commission for Refugees yesterday officially opened in Accra the Blue Oasis, a community center for refugees in the country. So this place is right close to us, near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange at Circle. It is to serve as a public gathering space to foster unity among refugees and to also empower them through workshops and seminars to boost their skills. That's the building that you see there. And then strive to be profitable. That's the Minister of Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo, who's enjoined state-owned enterprises and joint venture companies to be creative and competitive in their operations to make them productive and profitable.
Let's check out the Finder newspaper now. And 55% of children want to migrate, citing no jobs. That's according to a CRI report. It's on page 4. And it goes back to some of what you were talking about a short while ago, Mamavi. A new study published in Accra has found that about 55% of children in Ghana believe that the future is bleak and are planning to leave the country by 2040, citing jobs, education, and better standards of living elsewhere as the reasons. According to the report, 94% of the children stated that they were worried about getting a job in the next 2 decades. Okay, well, so I guess we're just re-echoing this for those who can help create jobs to do the right thing. But this story, apart from the headlines, well, there's this one: Swiss chocolate giant to set up processing factory in Ghana. It's on page 6, and it talks about Ghana Cocoa Board signing an agreement with the Beulah of Switzerland, one of the world's biggest cocoa processing and chocolate making companies, to process more of Ghana's cocoa. Very good initiative, but I always go back and I ask myself, you know, the other day I found a list that I've known a lot of Nkrumah's projects when it comes to factories and all of that. I was taking a look at them, and even now when I look at the sort of functional factories that we have, I don't think they compare to what Nkrumah did. So 64 years down the line, how long have we been processing cocoa? And we can't even process enough for the population. The price of a bar of chocolate is so high. When you say some things are not working in this country, you get people telling you this and that, but they are simply not. If 64 years down the line, we need the Swiss to come and, show us the way to go. COVID-19 fight. Schools must not lose focus. That's according to Dr. Richard Asieku. Bokunaba hails Akufo-Addo's policies, and Dr. Awal, former minister, I should say, for business development, now Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, unveils transformation plan for Northern and Upper East regions. But the final story I want to do is this one on page 4. COP Ono charges recruits to maintain standards of professionalism, and recruits of the Ghana Police Service have been advised to maintain high discipline and improve on the standard of professionalism in the performance of their duties to maintain law and order. The recruits, numbering 326 and who passed out from the Koforidua Police Training School, were charged to be guided by the new knowledge and skills acquired and the traditions, values and principles of the service. You know why I highlight this? When the police does something good, I talk about it. When it's bad, I talk about it. Yesterday, I got a call from a friend, a very prominent figure, and what happened to his wife at the hands of a police officer. I'm not going to spill the beans yet, because I want certain processes, an official complaint at the station and all of that to be lodged, and we'll take a look at it. But some of our police officers out there, Mama V, it's of course, we'll want to hear the other side, but what I heard was very disturbing. That's it with the Finder newspaper.
Let's jump and do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. On the front page: eliminating murder of wives by husbands, report early signs of assault by husbands. COP Yohonu advising wives. I will be bringing a bit of details of this. Ghana is second most peaceful country in sub-Saharan Africa, according to a report. Civil servant group angry with Peter Amewu's comments on them being sacked when governments lose power. Just a reminder of what he's alleged to have said, that, and I'm just reading the quote, "I come to government, I come out with good policies. Unfortunately, the people voted me out of power because they think my policy is not good. Unfortunately, the people who are supposed to implement remain there. They must also go so that we stop this nonsense of allowing people who work in the system destroy the system, and the blame is put on a politician. We can't allow that to continue," unquote. And this is, as I'm reading, as it was picked in an online publication. But CLOCSAC, that's the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, they've been responding, and in a statement, they said the former energy minister was full of himself when he was proposing a utopian government where all workers in the civil service are sacked because there is a change in a democratic dispensation. It is not fair to be simplistic in saying that the downfall of politicians could be ascribed to non-implementation of their policies by civil servants. What about politicians who alienate themselves from members from their constituencies or fail to fulfill their promises, with a question mark? Well, there's more to this story really in the paper. Let's see. I think I'll come back and talk about what COP Yehonu, his advice to wives, where he says report early signs of assault to eliminate murder of wives by husbands. I'll come back to that if time permits.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper now. And the major stories: owner of smuggled guns arrested. There's also Be Vigilant, Nana to border residents. Ghana judged second most peaceful, and Nana re-elected ECOWAS chair. But there's this story on the international front. Three abducted students killed in Nigeria crossfire, and the authorities in Nigeria's northwestern Kebbi state say 3 students have been killed in a crossfire between bandits and soldiers during an attempt to rescue the abducted students. Parents of the students have said more than 60 students and 8 teachers are still missing after gunmen invaded the federal government college in Yauri on Thursday last week. Residents said bodies of the 2 girls and a boy have been handed over to their parents. It's unimaginable. You can't imagine being in such a situation and how you would feel as family, as parents. Our hearts go out to them. Every now and then you hear of these kidnappings. It's becoming something else. But on the international page, Timi Dakolo's kids know their mother was allegedly raped. The same Timi Dakolo that you remember that song?
Oh, yeah. I love a song. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one and it was a bit... So soul singer Timi Dakolo has revealed that he has chatted with his kids about their mother's rape ordeal. In June 2019, Busola Dakolo dragged Pastor Biodun Fatoyembo, the senior pastor of Commonwealth of Zion Assembly, to an FCT High Court for allegedly raping her twice before she turned 18, about 20 years ago. Well, crime will find you, no matter how long it has been. And check out this one. VGMA, Trigmatic sure of winning Record of the Year award. That's also in there. That's it for the Daily Guide newspaper.
All right, let me do the Business and Financial Times. Front page on technology. Harnessing Finance and Technology takes center stage today at Meeting RBGH Business and Financial Times Digital Conference. Pass Occupational Safety and Health Bill now. That's a safety expert making this call. Inflation rates remain within targets in the short term, according to Standard Bank. Cedi's gain against dollar slows. Children skeptical about future prospects. That's what we've been sharing with you on the Child Rights International survey. Schools must not lose focus in COVID-19 fight, according to Dr. Richard Esiedu. Just running through what's on the front page. Leverage remittances for economic recovery post-COVID-19. Digitalization, a necessity in the new normal. Also a feature in today's edition of the Business and Financial Times. If you go to the back page, FBN Bank, National Trade Forum opens Wednesday, set to bring trade agenda to the front burner and combating neo-colonialism in Africa's venture capital industry. There's a write-up on the back page of the Business and Financial Times. If you're interested, you can grab the paper and check it out.
You know, looking at the stories in the Meridian newspaper, I likely wouldn't have, because it just goes back to many of the stories we've taken a look at. But let me go to page 4 of the paper, and I do admit I'm going to be a bit mischievous here. How does this hit you? Government to construct guinea fowl factory in Boku. And the president has given the assurance that government will construct a guinea fowl processing factory in the Boku municipality of the Upper East region. He said the factory would be constructed under the One District, One Factory initiative, saying in the same way under the One District, One Factory policy, we're going to establish very soon a guinea fowl processing factory here in Boku.
Maybe there are private people who are already successful in that venture, so they want to give them the support so that they can expand.
Ayo. Do you like guinea fowl chinchinga? Guinea fowl kebab?
Of course. Don't make me choke, man.
Already considering some guinea fowl, you know, delicacies this morning. Very spicy ones, of course.
Okay, so I wanted to do a bit of this story on the back page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, where the Director General in charge of special duties at the Ghana Police Service, COP Christian Tete Yohonu, is calling on the general public, especially women, to collaborate with DOVTU, that's the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. Well, he says that there's a growing phenomenon, there's a worrying trend these days in the country in recent times where married men are brutally assaulting their wives, which in some cases lead to the death of the women. First of all, he's assuring that DOVTU is the unit and they're on top of their game. So if anything happens, please report to the nearest DOVTU office, and then they are scattered all around. All women who are suffering any form of domestic abuse, go to the nearest DOVTU office or police station to make a report without fear before things get out of hand. It's a direct quote. He stated that domestic violence is a criminal issue, therefore should not be covered up and be resolved by families. Yes, let those who have ears hear. Yeah. That's a good call, by the way. I know that there are so many things that we cite. There are so many, excuses that sometimes we make for not reporting. And there are people who have not lived to regret it because they have died in the process. So once we have breath and we experience it, just make a report. You never know. It doesn't mean that as soon as you report, they're going to arrest your husband and put him behind bars, or in this case, your wife, because there are some women who are alleged to, be beating their husbands as well. So when it happens, please report. Let there be on record, that there's been something, so that if something else happened, at least they can go back and trace. And then who knows, you could be saved before you die. Don't die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't sit there and die. Okay, on that advisory note, shall we do myjoyonline.com, or there's a story that you wanted to highlight?
No, I just noticed, this is just random, that on Twitter, Omar Sterling is trending at number 2, and at number 1 is that new album, Same Earth, Different World. It's interesting, some of the comments that are coming up about this rapper and that new album he has out. I think it has some 20 songs, and people are talking about the variety and all of that. I've not listened to any of it, and to be honest, R2Bs and all. Maybe I have my favorite R in the 2Bs. Refuse to be broke, but
I like Payday.
I
like.
I'll not say I reserve my comments. I comment my reserve. I comment my reserve. I comment my reserve on that one.
Payday, yeah. All right, so we're going to go to myjoyonline.com. But did we mention yesterday that our president has been re-elected?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
The papers have even said it today.
Yeah.
And I think yesterday as well. I think one or two said it.
So just in case you haven't heard, President Akufo-Addo has been re-elected as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government for another one-year term. Well, his colleagues said that his leadership has been extremely good, and so they want to give him the nod again. So congratulations to our president. All right, let's do myjoyonline.com. Ben?
Well, COVID-19, deadly Indian strain detected in Ghana. Sputnik V, AstraZeneca vaccines not effective against it. When you go further, well, more stories there. AG warns of possible contempt action against Fix the Country campaigner. My opinion on 2020 election petition ruling didn't harm reputation of justices. That's Ayene replying the CJ's petition. We are not robbers. Forgive us. Siblings arrested for flaunting guns in viral video. You remember those that we saw with the pump action gun and all of those. They are saying they are galamseyers. They are not anything else.
Okay, what I'm going to say will be radical, so I won't say it. Go ahead.
Akufo-Addo touts government's efforts in Ghana's performance in latest Global Peace Index. Fix the Country campaigners want AG out of injunction case, and swoop arrest is knee-jerk reaction to insecurity challenges. That's according to Bombande. SHS student beats teacher to pulp, stab security man with broken bottle. When I was following the story yesterday, I was just thinking, what is going through the mind of this boy? And what temerity? Hey, ayo. And then revisit community policing policy. Bombarded tells police administration. There are many more interesting stories you can check out there. You can also check out that story. I know a lot of you have loved it, especially since yesterday. You know, when Israel Lai shared with me on Father's Day that when he had his first child, that was like an amazing, I asked him what was one of those, like the best moments for him as a father. And he said when he had his first child and looked at the child, I was like, you are here too. That story is trending. You can also check it out on myjoyonline.com.
I've got a birthday dedication before we make way for Muftau, who will talk about that fairy tale ending for Denmark yesterday. We're also proud because of what they had gone through. But it's your birthday today. Diana Afi Akuno of the Eastern Regional Police Command in Koforidua is your birthday today. I understand you're also following the AM show. You actually follow the AM show. So from all of us on the show to you, Diana Afi Akuno, happy birthday to you. And of course, all your friends here at Multimedia, including Joseph. So enjoy your birthday. If it's your birthday today, stay with us. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will bring us what we missed in the Euros. And then what we should look forward to. England is in action later.
Oh, yeah.
Today. Yeah. They need a win, Afadida.
So I don't know. I've not followed their situation.
Just a draw.
But
when you have France, Italy, when you have Belgium.
No, but Italy has got maximum points and all of that. So the way it is, England has to struggle through, but at least a draw would see them.
Overhyped England. All right, so Muftau.
Where did you sleep before waking up this morning? Anyway, there's more in sports coming your way with Muftau. Do stay.
Oh, hello. Thank you for staying with us here on the AM show. Time for us to talk AM Talk. Well, this is where we discuss some of the big issues confronting our nation. There's some topical subjects in the last 24 hours, including Dr. Dominic Ayene's response to the Chief Justice and the General Legal Counsel. We will delve into that issue. My guest to help with the conversations, Mr. Ebenezer Oklite Telabi is Member of Parliament for Lower Manya Krobo. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We will also be joined, well, he is a ranking member on the Environment Committee. He's on the Gender and Children Committee as well, and member of the Selection Committee of Parliament. We will have a former member of Parliament who is now Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Echampong. He's the former chair of the Defence and Interior Committee. One of the things we'll be discussing is security. There is a report out there that puts Ghana as second most peaceful country in sub-Saharan Africa. This is in spite of all the insecurities that some people have raised in recent times. So we're going to put both side by side, and that is on the table this morning. So do I have Mr. Seth Echampong, who's joining us via Zoom, connecting with us? Not yet. When we do connect, we will let you know. So in the meantime, well, Seth, thank you for being here. I want us to start on the back of that press conference addressed by the General Secretary of your political party, the National Democratic Congress. And this is on the back of the invitation of one of their own, a former Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni. I want us to take a listen to General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu-Nketia.
Dr. Ayeni, who was part of the legal team of former President Mahama during the 2020 election petition, is said to have questioned the independence of the judiciary due to the manner the Supreme Court adjudicated the election petition. This was during a forum on presidential election petitions and their impact on Africa's democracy. For the NDC General Secretary, the comments by Dr. Ayeni were honest, well-reasoned, and well-researched.
He stayed within the bounds of professionalism. He was neither scurrilous nor scandalous. For him to be accused by the Chief Justice of disparaging Ghana's judiciary over these tempered and justified comments is not only bizarre and unfortunate, but speaks volumes about the Chief Justice himself. Our Constitution and laws protect the integrity and independence of the judiciary and not the sensibilities of judges. Judicial vanity is a threat to justice.
Well, if you check my JoyOnline.com this morning, you would get the response by Dr. Dominic Ayeni, and I just want to read portions of that letter in response to the invitation on my JoyOnline.com. He says, with all due respect to His Lordship, the Chief Justice, I wish to state that I stand by the opinion I expressed at the said roundtable discussion. I am firmly convinced that the opinion I expressed neither imperiled the independence of the judiciary, nor did it cause any actual or potential harm to the reputation of the individual justices, nor did it cause any actual or potential harm to the reputation of the individual justices who sat on the case. He goes on also to say, on the contrary, I was engaged in constructive criticism based on my reading of the unanimous judgment of the Supreme Court in exercise of my constitutionally protected right to freedom of speech. I did so in good faith without malice or falsehood or recklessness, and in furtherance of my responsibility to our country as a lawyer and an academic. It's an 11-page response, and it's on my JoyOnline.com. If you have time, you can visit the page and read the response, which is titled Conduct of Dr. Dominic Ayeni. So I want to start with you Mr. Taylor, because you're here, and when we connect with Mr. Seth Echampong, who will be joining us via Zoom, he's the Eastern Regional Minister, we will bring him into the conversation. Some people have said this is not a political party matter. After all, Dr. Ayeni is a lawyer, he belongs to the profession, and this is a professional matter of possible misconduct. So why does the party jump in as if he needs help?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Once more. I think that Dr. Ayeni was at the Search Forum in his capacity as our member on the Committee on Constitutional and Legal, matters, insofar as Parliament is concerned, right? And the chairman of that committee, and Dr. Ayeni is in Parliament on the ticket of the NDC. And I'm very sure that CDD wouldn't have invited him if he wasn't the chairman of the said committee. So to start with, he was representing the committee too as a member of Parliament, on the ticket of the NDC. So if in the process, some concerns are raised, I think the party has a duty to also, support his view. Because at the end of the day, Ayeni spoke on the issues that arose insofar as the judgment that was given at the Supreme Court, which has to do with the NDC. And he was part of the legal committee that pursued that very issue at, the Supreme Court. And therefore, it is not out of place for members of Parliament. Our side has also come out with a press release. We did a press conference in support of Ayeni's views as an academic, as a citizen of this country, and as a lawyer. The party, has the right to also do same. So I don't see anything wrong. That doesn't mean that he needs help. We also have to show solidarity because we believe in what the gentleman said, at the search forum.
Isn't this, if you like, pitching the political party, the NDC, against the judiciary because the Chief Justice heads that institution?
You see, pitching the party against the judiciary, is that what you're saying? I don't think so. I think that nobody is above criticism. Nobody. So
why wouldn't you just allow the process to continue?
Which process?
I mean, they've invited him. They put the issues before him. He's responded.
But did you read the invitation? Did you read the invitation? There was the invitation was very judgmental, that he has committed a certain crime and must, answer. He must be investigated. Right? And we believe that nobody is above, there's no profession in this country which is above criticism. Because, unless they believe that they don't make mistakes, then even in our law courts, right, there are instances where, judgments are passed, other judges, critique it and then overturn the same. You understand? So what is wrong with, if it is somebody like me who's not a lawyer, right, criticizing, then they might say, okay, just, out of maybe ignorance or whatever. This is somebody who is an academic, and how do we really, improve on, as far as our laws are concerned, without, subjecting them to proper, criticisms. And when you listen to Ayeni, whatever he said wasn't new. It is something that, if you go out right now and interview a lot of people who have been following proceedings at our courts and things like that, a lot of people hold about the same view. So what it means is that instead of, singling out Ayeni and trying to gag him or whatever, the judiciary must put his house in order.
Yeah, how does that amount to gagging?
Certainly, because if
they are duly investigating the matter and he's been asked to say his side of it,
no, what are
it's a fair process.
What are they investigating? Is it not true that the judges were unanimous in all that the processes, insofar as appeals, whatever, everything? Is it not true? It's a fact that everything about the the review went one way.
So I guess the bigger issue is the questioning of their independence.
Yes, no,
I guess that's what's prompting this, isn't it?
Can we read? Can you read what he said?
Before you continue, we're going to pull that up. Let's say good morning to Mr. Sede Champo because he's joined us via Zoom. Let's say good morning to his Eastern Regional Minister and a former Member of Parliament. If you can hear me, sir, good morning.
Good morning, Mamavi, and good morning to my brother, Honorable Taylor, Member of Parliament for Lower Manya.
Great, good to have you. Maybe before you continue, let me, Mr. Champa, I don't know how much of this conversation you've been listening to so far, but we're just on our first subject, on the Dr. Dominic Ayene's issue and the NDC's press conference yesterday. I was just asking if this is an NDC fight.
No, I don't believe this is an NDC fight. I understand that Dr. Ayene's initial commentary was in a matter that the flag bearer, the former president of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when he had petitioned the Supreme Court on the results of the last held 2020 general elections in his capacity as a candidate. And the political party he belonged to decided to offer him support and made some members of the political party come forth to stand in his stead to offer prosecution, to stand in as prosecution witnesses. As thereof, one of the counsels that supported the team, the legal team, was Honorable Dr. Ayene Dominic. And unfortunately, some emotions came up, and Dominic, the gentleman that I know, when he spoke at the time, I noticed clearly that he spoke on emotions at the time, because the Dominic I've lived in Parliament with, that I used to work with in Parliament, wouldn't do and commit such blunders. And humbly, he was led in counsel by his colleagues who eventually got the Supreme Court to pardon him, purge him of all sins, if I may be permitted to use such words, on that at that material moment. And whatever is happening subsequently is a professional conversation. I think we need to develop our jurisprudence and ensure that our country really enjoys the best of the common law practice. I don't think any person on the bench will do anything untoward to Dominic. They respect him as a former Attorney General, Deputy as such, and a leader of the bar. And if you listen clearly to the commentary of members of the bench of the Supreme Court of Ghana at the time, you clearly would know the level of respect they hold for Ayene. Some of these things are procedures and processes. And if we allow politicking to stay out of clear principles and we employ principles, we build a better nation, a sound and found strong nation for ourselves. And for me, this is how I would consider the conversation. I definitely, and you may, if you may recall, you realize when Dominic appeared, Honorable Dr. Ayene appeared before the Supreme Court, you saw the support he got from both parties, which were for and against in respect of the petition, and all solidarized with him. I believe in this circumstance, certainly conversations are ongoing. We are all the same people, all one country. Yeah. Let us not politicize every matter that comes up before us. Let us, some of the time, allow the system to also prune itself and win itself some bad practices. Yes, members of the society, and in particular, learned councils, are allowed to criticize the Supreme Court or court decisions, but it should be done in a fashion, it should be done in a manner. Even in your practice, your code of conduct do not permit you to do certain things. So when you err, that's why we have disciplinary committees set up in all bodies. So we all checkmate ourselves. I don't want us to raise this to a bar of politicking and politicizing. It is a matter that we just have to all follow keenly and, when necessary, criticize appropriately. But it should not be an NDC versus the judiciary matter. We shouldn't.
But if you invite Mr. Champo, if you invite a person who was part of the legal team of a political party pursuing a matter, for their candidates in an election, then you invite the whole political party, because in that instance he wasn't himself.
When he appeared before the Supreme Court, if our images will capture exactly the happening on the day, how many of the party members were in the courtroom to offer him support at the time when he was being led in counsel? The men that led him in counsel were not NDC. They didn't come there as NDC party lawyers. It was clearly a professional breach that the profession demands certain practices to go through. And that is the position from where I speak. I wouldn't want to make this a political banter. We've made most conversations in this country. We color it. And at the end of the day, we don't get the real substance and the input that we must derive out of such conversations. That is the position I come from. Okay. We have to take certain subjects at the face value and then critique it, analyze it, and come up with some useful suggestions that will shape this nation. If we make every conversation in this country so political, we will not develop this country the way we want to develop it. And we are so quick to run our mouths that officialdom is not doing so well. Everybody criticizes one another, and that's little about critiques. We only run our mouths and go home to sleep and do not get actions. And that is my only concern and worry for our country.
Okay, so Mr. Telabi, you wanted me to read portions of what Dr. Ayeni is alleged to have said. And so this is picked from myJoyNews.com. And this is as he appeared as a panel on a roundtable discussion, organized by the CDD. And this is a direct quote. Adjudication is the process of accountability. So for me, it is okay to dismiss an application brought by a petitioner for one relief or the other, whether substantive or procedural. But it is another thing to fail to apply the rules of procedure in a manner that enhances the accountability process. So, at the end of the day, the petition actually dampened my hopes with respect to the independence of the judiciary and its ability to hold the Electoral Commission in particular accountable in election petitions. There are more of his submissions. If you go to myJoyNews.com, you can appreciate that better. For instance, he said, I expected the Supreme Court to apply faithfully the rules of procedure too, in terms of adducing evidence, proof the petitioner's case, and so on. What we saw was a Supreme Court that was constantly putting hurdles in the way of the petitioner in terms of adducing evidence to prove the petitioner's case. I am sure for ordinary Ghanaians or the electorate generally, the fact that the Supreme Court judges, all 9 of them, on almost every application was unanimous in rejecting and dismissing the case of the petitioner was very telling in terms of the open-mindedness or otherwise of the justices as far as the petition was concerned, and for me as a lawyer, unquote. So amongst many other things, some of the things that Dr. Dominic Ayeni said during this roundtable discussion, it was on elections, by the way, and this was after the court had decided in the petition, the issue that was brought before them.
And then essentially, this is after the court has, pronounced judgment, and therefore this was not going to influence, anything so far as the judgment was concerned. These are commentaries after, judgment, was passed. And as a lawyer, and as somebody who, believes in developing our legal systems, I mean, he's an academic. And therefore, his views as, pertains to this should also be heard. Should be heard. Because whatever judgment that came up, the judges also, opined. I mean, they are the opinion of the judges. They believe that whatever requests that were brought forward by, the applicants, right, were not proper. That is their view. That was the view at the time. And during the process, Ayeni made some comments, and that will be, I mean, is believed to be, contentious because the case was, pending, and therefore any utterances that could influence or that could, influence the course of judgment is said to be contentious, and that is why he apologized at the time. But after judgment has been given, I believe that we all have the right, to, and when you listen to what he said, or you read what he said, I don't think that, it taints, the reputation of the charges.
So,
not at all. I don't believe
this question again. I mean, what's the big deal? After all, it's a petition to investigate statement allegedly made by Dominic Ayeni. And this is what the Judicial Secretary wrote. That's the title of what was written. So it's just an investigation.
Read.
Okay, so let's go to details of that as you've invited me to read. The attention of His Lordship, the Chief Justice, has been drawn to statements allegedly made by Dr. Dominic Ayeni during a panel discussion on presidential election petitions and their impacts on Africa's democracy. During this discussion, Dr. Ayeni questioned the independence of the judiciary due to the manner the Supreme Court adjudicated the 2020 election petition. According to him, the Supreme Court's failure to apply the rules of procedure, as well as the consistent and continuous dismissal of the petitioner's application or reliefs, were the basis of his assertion. These comments are made against the backdrop of the Supreme Court discharging Dr. Ayeni on a charge of contempt for similar comments made against members of the Supreme Court during the election petition hearing. Dr. Ayeni apologized profusely when he appeared before the court on the contempt charge and admitted to having made comments which were unbecoming of a lawyer of his standing and a former Deputy Attorney General. His Lordship, the Chief Justice, therefore finds his alleged disparaging comment totally unacceptable and would like you to investigate this matter further. And he's attached copy of an extract from an article published on myjournline.com. That's where I picked the initial quotes from Dr. Ayeni's contribution, and this was signed by Justice Cynthia Pamela Addo, the Judicial Secretary. So this is the invitation.
Yes, but you see the conclusion. They said they find it what?
Disparaging.
Seriously.
But you must have a basis for your complaints, shouldn't you?
You see, but the reference was made to what he said during the court proceedings. That was during when the case was being heard. And now, a forum provided by NGOs and Parliament invited to make comments. I mean, to help in improving our legal, system. And therefore, comments made by, persons like Ayeni should not be taken, that far.
Okay.
You understand?
Just the last, and I'll give you the last say on this, Mr. Champon. And away from the earlier question I asked in terms of the political party, the NDC, jumping in on this. There are many other persons, including lawyers, even from those who are also part of CDD, the organizers of this forum, who say that this is purely, or this was an academic exercise, and the Chief Justice should not be concerned. Criticizing the work of the judiciary is something that has been done from way back. There are so many quotes that others are putting out there, harsher criticism of the judiciary in the past. So this shouldn't be an issue.
But you see, let me just, before he comes in, when I am even surprised that Ayeni has been isolated, and that is the cause of concern, because other lawyers, it wasn't like Ayeni was just allowed to just, say whatever. Others also criticized what Ayeni said and had their views. You understand? Others had views.
You mean on the same
platform?
panel?
That's right, the same platform. Yes.
Sure.
Others. So it was a discussion which was, it wasn't like Ayeni.
In fact, there are people who disagreed with him then who are coming out now to say that this invitation is unnecessary.
Unnecessary, certainly.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Champon, let's hear you.
Thank you very much. Do you see where such a beautiful conversation is leading all of us? Clearly, the reason why I insist that my friends in the NDC political party shouldn't see this as a politicized subject. Honorable Dominic's points were made on an academic platform.
Yeah.
There were several witnesses to that conversation that he made. He's made his own inferences out of the decision from the position of the law. And a person who was part of the representation for the petitioner. And those were his views. It is subject to the governing body of our law system in Ghana, the General Legal Council. If they so wish, I don't think that our judiciary or the General Legal Council is just full or filled with people who are so biased. In the same way that all individuals are speaking and expressing their mind independently, which is a foundation from our constitution, freedom of expression. It is enshrined. Our fundamental rights are enshrined and embodied and supported by our constitution. So I understand this from the position of the law that let us allow the procedures and the systems to work. I do not and I will not try my best here this morning to get into the minds of the Chief Justice or get into the minds of the Judiciary Council or the Legal Council or get into the mind of my friend and brother Dominic. Let us all see this subject as a clear procedure that we should go through the motions. And like you rightly said, panelists, co-panelists have come on the heels of the program to express an alternative opinion, even when they held a different concern at the time that Dominic spoke. That should tell you how we are as a people in this country. And so we should continue to encourage this rather useful spirit of citizenship and camaraderie amongst checking on our fellow colleagues and having that fellow feeling spirit, which I believe must be the principle that's the Ghana's conversation all the time. I must say that if any person disagrees with me, Mama V, on this conversation we are holding, the persons are freely allowed to make their commentary, but they should make them within the confines of the set rules that guide all our conversations. Yeah. We should know. Yes. Dominic is not a mean character.
No.
Dominic is a lecturer, a teacher of law. Yeah. He's not just a member of parliament or a former deputy minister of state. He teaches the subject and is respected as such. And he knows the principles upon which he stood to speak. He's going to advance same arguments. This is how we develop our law. Yeah. This is how we develop our jurisprudence. Yeah. Let us allow systems to work. It is good that all of us are speaking to the conversation. But hey, let's watch it and see how it goes.
Okay.
My worry is the fact that references are being made to what he said during the court proceedings, which I think is unfair.
In terms of him owning up and saying that
yes,
I said things that I shouldn't have said, and so I am sorry for that.
In that context, because there was a case, ongoing, you understand. No judgment has been passed, nothing has been said, no conclusions have been made. Now they have concluded. You see, and the interesting thing is that not too long ago, there was a program where I heard the current Chief Justice critiquing seriously a judgment that was passed, this Riakuto sort of...
the famous Riakuto
that's right.
Case.
Critiquing it, you understand? I'm sure those judges, if they are alive, right, will not be offended. Will not be offended. We should allow, the system to develop. I mean, it is only, accepting our faults, allowing people to criticize us, constructively, though. That can help us, really build our systems very well. Look, it happens in every profession. It happens in every profession. Look, sometimes you as a scientist can go into your lab, do whatever you think is the best. It is peer reviewed, and sometimes it is shut down. We have recent issues when it came to this COVID, thing. People were coming out with various medications, and at the end of the day, a lot were shut down. It started from chloroquine, from whatever. Let's put our ego aside. You understand? The issue is about ego. I mean, people think that when they are criticized, people are, at them. No, let's allow criticism, especially at fora like what we have now.
Okay.
Otherwise, next time, you scare people off. People will not, have the courage to come out and criticize. You understand?
Okay, so I guess now the process continues after that letter that I read to you.
Yeah.
Dr. Ayeni has also responded. It's an 11-page piece.
Yeah.
You can log on to myjawline.com and read all 11 pages of his response. We will see where this takes us. This is part of an investigation, so we will be following through to see how it ends. But I want us to talk about security and insecurity. And I want to start this conversation with you. Mr. Sede Champon, you are Eastern Regional Minister. You also are on the Regional Security Council. In fact, you chair it, don't you?
Yes.
So let's talk about security in your region. I think both of you come from the same region in this regard. So let's hear your analysis of what the security situation is.
Thank you very much, Mama V. This security subject is very delicate. Since I've been here in the last 3 months and a week, exactly today is 3 months and a week since I took office as the representative of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo before here. We've had a couple of meetings, we've had some discussions, we've had some operations run, and we're still ongoing. Unfortunately, some murder cases, as so far described by the reports of the Ghana Police Service, as captured and as ongoing investigations prescribed them to be. The general overview of the region is good, is fair. We have the complement of, let me thank the Minister for Interior, Honorable Ambusdere, for encouraging the police and the Ghana Immigration Service to set up a counter-terrorism training center and unit here, which brings more people frequently and regularly into the region. And they help us with visibility, which is also aiding and adding to the confidence of our citizenry in most of our communities. We are not there yet. It has just started. And I will encourage that we all have a bite at it. And when you get opportunity, we would also know how to go about it. So far, we've experienced some armed robbery incidents on certain portions of the region. And some theft has gone on in the region, and all by and large. And the usual exchanges with the extractive industries operatives, where security personnel have been in the region to run operation halts. And in some areas, there have been some exchanges between some illegal sand winners and some other personnel. These are all issues that are come up to our table, and we are fashioning solutions to them because that is our mandate. That is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to ensure that there is sanity, there is stability, and there is peace and unity in the community. And so that is exactly what we're working towards and we're trying to achieve in this region. You will be surprised that unfortunately, the heightened of crime in this jurisdiction is absurd for me. Just as when I had been nominated by His Excellency the President to represent him in this region, we had a bizarre incident where an ambulance driver who was on a mission to save life was attacked and killed by armed robbers. And that really shocked me and granted me a different orientation in respect of the fight against crime in this republic. Because ordinarily, even in times of war, those who fly peace flags, such as the Red Cross and such as ambulances, are not attacked. And so if we find such innocent but hard, dedicated, committed nationals in their duty and in the line of service get attacked, then we should begin to probe further. And this has led us into understanding the posture and the nature of the crimes that they commit.
Okay.
Most of them are on hard drugs, and that is how we are getting the evidence to be. I can't speak too deep into most of these investigations that are ongoing, but permit me to say just few words to start with as painting a picture for the region for now.
Yeah, there's sadly another one in the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and I think this happened over the weekend, where a mobile money vendor was attacked and killed. This happened at Okrasi, it's in your region. Do you have any updates on this matter?
Yes, please, Mama B. The incident occurred on the night of the 19th, about 11:30 to be precise. Those are the information I can offer you in respect of the situation. You know how these things were when they occurred. There are situation reports that the Crime Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service would necessarily lead in these incidents. They will put together an initial report as a situation report. So the SITREPs that we received, and I received on that fateful night around 11:30 p.m. on the 19th of June, this gentleman had closed from his normal duties and chores. As the reports tells us, those who shot and killed him did not take away. He is a business person operating a small-scale business of mobile money, and his monies were not taken. None of his phones were taken away, and they just shot and killed him. And so this is a matter which is under investigation.
Any arrests so far?
We are keenly following and checking on. First, some initial suspects have been picked, and we're still following through. I beg you to pardon me. This is a very serious crime, a murder, as the police describe it so far. They are the professionals who lead us in these conversations. So when they look at the initial evidence and prescribe, we follow through because they represent the law and they act the law as and when the matter breaks.
Sure.
And so it's now a murder matter that we are following closely.
Okay, great. So, Honorable, that's your regional minister painting the picture of the region. But how does it look like in Lower Manyakrobo?
Well, it's not too different. We have also had, some, and I think he's aware, some murder cases. I think we have, the recent one, a young man was also murdered, and we also got up in the morning to find some dead persons, lying on the street in the outskirts of the town. The police, I have not honestly followed up with the case to find out what actually the issue, but they were found dead, and that is also a suspected, murder case. Yes, so I'm sure the police are working. But you see, one thing that we must also be doing is to make sure that you see the sense how the people feel is what the situation is. Because if the people feel very insecure because they think that they are not safe,
So how do your constituents feel?
Well, when you they are raising the concerns, especially the fact that when you go out in the night, you don't feel safe. And then now it is happening in the afternoon. And because we are close to Accra, whatever happens in, the greater Accra region has some effect on our people because we are close by. And the feeling is that nobody's safe.
So when we sing that tune, I want leaders to sing a different one because you are in the place of responsibility. So how are you making your constituents feel safe?
You see, sometimes you need to tell the people the truth. Sometimes the fear of the unknown is also good. It helps people behave better. People should not be reckless. I don't have to go tell them that, it's okay, everything is okay, so you can do whatever. No, it is happening. I don't know when, others will also come to my place. You understand? So they need to be worried, and they need to be careful.
So that's what you tell them?
Yes, they need to be careful.
Okay, is there anything that you can do? I know that you're a member of parliament, your core job is to make laws.
Yes.
But you also have some kind of funding. Are you channeling that into security or anything like that?
But that, what kind of funding? I mean, I don't think... you
have a common fund, don't you?
The common fund cannot take care of the security, please. The police, at least must up their game a little. I mean, police visibility should be improved.
Okay.
They must be serious. Because I listened to a discussion where police at checkpoints are said to be, browsing their phones, chatting, appear not to be serious. I mean, the criminals are also smart, and when they find you not to be serious, they can pounce on you and do whatever they want to do and go away. So they must also up their game. Now, the another thing too is that the citizens, we must also give out information and be particular about what is going on around us. Because sometimes you'll be surprised that this incident that happened at Ziodo or whatever, where the armed robbers, I am even surprised that the people around, as we speak, I don't know where the police have got into though, but I've not heard that the people have pictures, people have information, because they came in motorbikes. You understand? The problem is that we don't really care about what is going on around us. Let us be wary, because where, elsewhere, where we believe that the police are doing well, the informants are the citizens. They give information. When you see strange persons around, raise the alarm, question the people. You understand?
Yeah.
That is the way to keep, ourselves, safe.
So, Mr. Chambo, the last time I encouraged citizens to, just as you're saying, report to the police if you find anything unusual, let the police know. I got a call right after the show. In fact, we are not even ended the show when the call came. And essentially, the concern was that sometimes when people inform the police, they are exposed. And so their lives now, they become the targets for some of these bad people. So people are also not very confident in giving information. You've sat on the Defense Committee of Parliament. I'm sure you're very familiar with what I'm saying. So first of all, I want to know how people can give information and still be protected. And then second, there's the issue of the mobile money vendors not safe. Just using your region as an example in terms of what you're doing to protect them.
Thank you very much. Like I said, we are deploying some strategies to help create awareness and beef people's understanding in terms of personal security and personal protection principles and concepts. But this is being done sadly, and the way we're doing it, let me be very honest. Sometimes you can't speak all the things you're doing because as we speak, everybody's listening to us, and you don't know who is the next person who targeting another fellow. So they always want to see what the strategies and the plans of the operatives are. But what I can say is that indeed it is true that when it happens this way, it puts fear and some panic into some citizenry. This is not far-fetched. We've witnessed this, and it's part of human nature. It is us leaders who should provide that kind of inspiration which offers the ordinary person the courage to step out and go and do what they have to do. Unfortunately, we cannot say every personnel within our Ghana Police Service has been very professional. Some have been truly professional, and they have conducted themselves and performed their works without any concerns otherwise. But unfortunately, we've seen some also who've been quite lackadaisical. Their inactions have really hurt the institution and by extension hurt our nation, our country, Ghana. I would only continue by saying that in our region, we've been experiencing that. We've been advising them who are in business that please don't overstay your bounds when you close from your work. If as late as 11, I would not encourage any person who is holding huge sums of money. Yeah. In this instance, the person who is holding huge sums of money should be working outside. It is not proper. It is not safe. Everywhere in the world, not only in Ghana, it is not safe to do so. And so we should all learn from this. I'm not stating that it is the fault of the person. Some are quite innocent when it comes to some of these practices. And some do not know at all. And some know, but they have second thoughts. I want to encourage everybody not to practice that. We have to discourage ourselves from holding huge sums of money. If we have collected some money and we have to trade with them immediately, let's look for some safety nets. There are several people who are in the financial services sector who are assisting people protect their monies. And I know even in those instances, some are attacked, but those are targeted attacks. If you follow through with the investigations and the reports, that comes thereon. So I will only say that we on our side, our RECSEC is holding a meeting this week over some of these issues. We are considering many options to ensure that we bring some calm and some confidence in the region for our people.
Okay. All right. So on that note, there was an earlier one on people who provide information, who tip the police. Is there, is there any form of protection for them?
Yes, there is the Police Standards Bureau on Professional Standards Bureau. And if any person provides information, and after being so kind in volunteering information to help the service achieve its objective, and the people are let out and later attacked, I think it is wrong. Such personnel must be taken through. There is an in-house own way of checking a regimented service. Every regimented service has its own way of pruning itself and checkmating itself. And the police have that bureau that it uses. Such fellows needs to be sent there, must be sent there. But by and large in our region, we haven't encountered same here. That is the only way the police service is able to assist us or unravel most of these criminal activities. Okay. And so we are very, very focused in ensuring that informants are properly protected. You can't allow any leads to informants, because other than that, you will not get any information that will help you meet your investigation.
Okay, all right. In wrapping up this conversation, do you have anything to say on security real quick? I have a constituent of yours who sent a message.
Okay. I believe that you don't necessarily need to provide information in person. I mean, this day and age where we have technology, at the site of crime, or sometimes when accidents occur, you find people taking pictures and putting them on various platforms. We can use same, and we can use same to do that. Because recently I saw some pictures of some young men wielding guns. I hear the police have posted them. It's another way of providing information. You understand? But we don't do that. We do not do that. We take the pictures. We take pictures of accident victims and put them on platform. But when people are, when criminals are operating, we don't do that. We don't do that. We must encourage people to do that. You don't need to go to the police station, to go and give information. No, you can call when there's something going on around. You can call the police. I mean, sometimes they have problems with their response, though. But at least providing that information, or even telling a third person or putting it on the platform. I mean, there are people who, in spite of whatever will happen, can also pass on the information, and then we can get hold of the persons who are involved in criminal activities in our communities. So we must take whatever goes on around us serious. I was telling my constituents this weekend that a lot is happening around us. And therefore, we must take interest. But there are people who are so passive in where, the communities they live in. They only go in the morning and then come. Whatever changes, occur, they don't really care. Let us also, be, careful with whatever is happening in our community and be prepared to give information out.
Okay. Just to find out, a constituent of yours, I don't have a name, but he's asking me to ask you of your plans for Akuse roads leading the oldest hospital. I am careful in asking MPs this because I know road is not your responsibility. But I know that sometimes you make promises. So have you talked about fixing this road?
Interestingly, it was only last week that I met the Akuse community. I told them point blank that I don't have what it takes to fix this road. Because my common fund, I'm in my 9th year. If I aggregate all the funds that are giving me, cannot build even a kilometer.
But 9 years, you couldn't lobby for the road to be done?
For the lobbying, and I'm still doing it. I have even written to the minister.
He's in parliament with you.
Yes, and he has given us his word that they were going to do it. In fact, that particular road was awarded last year, right? But again, we all know the situation we find ourselves in the country now. It is subject to availability of funds. You understand? If
so
money,
just final for the person who asked me the question. What's your response?
Well, I'm still pursuing it. I'm including other routes in the constituency.
Okay.
Yes.
Ayo, we hear. Thank you very much, Honorable, for being here. Mr. Sade Champon, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Ravi, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Well, 3 months, 1 week. I see you're counting down. I'm counting down with you.
Please come over. I need you here. Come and visit us.
I will. You have a beautiful region. I will come on a tour.
Yes. Our city is very beautiful. And the Kobo area is very, very nice, where Honorable Taylor comes from.
Yes.
I have to bring you an invoice. Now you're advertising your region on my show. Thank you very much, Mr. Sade Champon. And thank you, Mr. Ebenezer Oakley Taylor as well for being here.
Well, here we are back on the AM show. And moving from K2 South, where there is that sea erosion and more, we're getting to the issue of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And there's a whole lot to talk about as we discuss what businesses can do in these times of COVID-19. It's the Chamber CEO Business Forum, and we're hosting Mark Bedu-Abwaji, who is CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also have joining the conversation Julius Bradford Lamte, Head of Research and Advocacy, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They join us for this all-important conversation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And of course, these are COVID-19 times, and everybody has felt the impact, especially the business community. But let me find out from you, Mark. How long have you been organizing this forum? How long has it been in existence?
Well, we started some years, about 10 years back. Somewhere along 2016, we went for a break. Just as we were about to restart it in 2020, the COVID came.
Okay.
So we've been around, let's say 10 years.
About 10 years?
Yes, about 10 years for this CEO's Business Forum.
And what would you say are some of the gains you've made? I mean, since even before COVID hit, what are some of the things that you've been able to achieve in the business
basically,
community?
the Chamber provides business support services to Ghanaian businesses through a number of platforms. So the CEO's Forum is one of the platforms that we use to provide such support services. And by that, we've been able to build the capacity of a number of businesses to be able to resolve issues. One of the key things that one of the CEO Forum that we organized was to help businesses get access to financing. The other one was to help businesses get access to international markets. So we were able to bring together Ghanaian CEOs and some CEOs from international community to be able to judge. And throughout such discussion, they were able to come out with some joint ventures, and people have also created market for their products outside Ghana. So In a way, we've created value for those who have consistently participated in this CEOs Forum. And also, we generate issues that we can advocate on. One of our key functions is to advocate to ensure that the right business environment is created. And we've done one on tax issues, we've done one on interest rates. So there's consistently something that we are talking on to ensure that the right environment is created for the private sector to thrive.
So what would you say is the main focus of the Chamber Business Forum, especially as we look at this next forum that you're going to be organizing?
Yes, to put it in context, it's based on a research we organized in the latter part of 2019 to look at the performance of business. Actually, we look at 750 businesses, small and large, over 17 sectors across the country, to look at how they are performing and whether they are resilient and sustainable over the long period of time. The research revealed that actually most businesses were profitable, they have value, they are value-oriented, but they are not resilient, they are not sustainable, which means that if there should be any shock, the likelihood that they will collapse was very high. And therefore, there was a need for us to rethink the way we define business success. Because if an investor is coming to put money into your business, they will only look at the profit you are making, which of course is one of the issues, but they will look at how sustainable that business is. So we're looking at how we can make businesses resilient and sustainable over the period. So when the COVID came, it also revealed also to us that our fear that those businesses who collapsed actually were confirmed. Some of them are going through.
And I know some of those businesses went under.
Yes.
I've heard of businesses, yes. I've interacted with people whose businesses simply went under and have never got back up.
Exactly. So if probably prior to COVID, we've done this and they've put in place all these measures to make sure that they are resilient, they are sustainable, probably they would have been able to withstand the shocks. So this business forum actually to look at how we define business success, from saying that we are profitable to saying that we are sustainable over a long period of time. So the theme is actually redefining business success, the path for business value, resilience, and sustainability.
Right.
And we are putting together experts, CEOs who make the necessary decisions, policy makers. We are putting together experts, industry experts, to rethink and come out with strategies that will make businesses create value, which is the profit, be resilient, and also be sustainable. And it's more relevant under this particular period where we have COVID.
Right.
And we're also talking about African Continental Free Trade Area and the agreement. If you want to fully participate and get value from it, then businesses in the long run should be profitable and should be sustainable as well.
So what you're revealing to me now paints the picture that even a lot of our businesses don't have the proper concept of what success is in business terms.
Exactly.
They're just thinking, when there's the outturn, when there's revenue generation, I'm making a profit, it means I am successful.
Yes.
But there's a lot more to it.
There's a lot more to it. So we are using this one also to create awareness that the fact that you are making profit, you don't end there. If there is a shock, can you continue to make that profit? Are you resilient? Are you sustainable? This is what the business should be looking at as defining a success. So if you take a balance sheet or P&L of any business, you should look beyond what is in the books and then look at how, in the long run, the business will be able to survive if there is any shock. And I think COVID has opened our eyes to the importance of ensuring that businesses are profitable, they are resilient, and they are sustainable in the long run.
Julius, I've even been reading of big businesses across the world who are now deciding that COVID has come to, I think it was Deloitte in recent times, saying that even their workers can stay at home, even post-COVID and all of that, that companies are trying to adapt. But tell us a bit about this business forum and what shape the program proper is going to take.
Thank you very much. So the shape of the program will be more of a panel session.
Right.
So we have the experts who will come and present their topics. So in all, we have about 8 presenters that will speak on key issues. And then from there, they'll sit. Then the moderator would ask them the questions to get their opinion. So in there, we have your various topics. So the first session will focus on your regulatory policies, the business competitiveness.
Did you say regulatory policies?
Yes. Okay. So over there, we want to see the impact of your regulation on business competitiveness and also your resilience. So we are looking at the national level, so government policies like taxes, your labor protection and also subsidies. Then we also come to the firm level, so issues about corporate governance. How are the firms enforcing those practices to achieve value, resilience, and also sustainability. And then we're also looking at there's a strategic behavior that will also allow small industries feeding to the big industries. Right. Then from there, the second session would focus on business, innovation, and also growth. So from what CEO is saying, we need to find innovative ways of allowing businesses to grow and then also to stay sustainable. And this entails that we have to rethink the strategies, as he said, along the lines of people, planet, and also profit. Right. So now it's not more about profit, but first of all, focus on your workers that are adding value to your business. Then from there, you consider the environment. Then later, you think about the profit. So right. That's the whole strategy that we want to adopt.
And it's beautiful the way you put it, because without the people, there's no business in the first place. But who are some of the panelists that you speak of that are joining the
Thank you very much. Fortunately for us, we've been able to assemble a high team of experts.
Tell us a bit about them.
Yes. So we have Mr. Frimpong Corey, who is this partner at tax unit from the KPMG. He will speak on the impact of regulatory policies on business competitiveness. We also have Dr. Samuel Frimpong Boateng, who is the MD of Afridec, and he will speak on ensuring business resilience and risk management to increase sustainability and value. Now, the third person to speak is Mrs. Salma Salifu, who is the MD for Dignity DDTRT, and she would speak on developing effective market strategies. Then the fourth person to speak under the session one is Mr. David Fosudote, who is the senior partner for AB and David, and he will speak on maximizing operational efficiency and business agility. Okay. So these sub-topics will help us to achieve how regulatory policies is impacting business resilience and also competitiveness. Okay. Now, the second session, which is on business.
Maybe a bit briefly, just with the names
okay.
on this.
So the names are Mrs. Theresa Yamson, who is the CEO for the Phyto Rica. Right. Then we also have Mr. Amardeep Hari Singh, who is the CEO of IPMC. Okay. We also have Dr. Dana Macaulay, who is the MD of the Magdan Group. Then we also have the MD of GCB, who is in the person, Mr. Kofi Adomako. Okay. So these are the team of experts that we've assembled for this exercise.
I know it's strictly by invitation. Sure. So how can people participate? What is the process to be gone through?
Well, because of COVID, as you said, it's in person, so strictly by invitation. We have numbers that the individuals who want to participate in it can call, and our team will attend to them. If you permit me, I'll give the numbers out.
And the numbers are on the screen, but you can go ahead.
The first one is 050-126-0141. 050-126-0141. The second one is 0241-264433. 0241-264433. And if you call any of this number, in fact, we have limited seats for now. So those who would want to participate in this program should quickly call these lines and then be attended to.
Okay, so final words, very briefly, maybe 30 seconds.
Well, my final words is just to tell you how unique this particular program is, because probably you might have heard of other CEOs forum, and it probably was a talk shop.
Sometimes it's all talk.
Yes, but this, the chamber was set up to provide support services to businesses. So whatever we are doing is in the context of providing the support services. So what we are doing with this particular one, that we have identified companies that are going through some of these challenges, and then we refer them, recommend some of these experts to handhold them and help them resolve some of these challenges. So this one is practical. Somebody will be there to assist you to identify the risk that you are having, help you put in place the mitigation measures to ensure that it becomes resilient and sustainable in the long run. So ours is unique. We also will create opportunity to do advocacy.
I'm excited about that. Julius, final words.
Thank you very much. So from the way I said, as the head of research and advocacy, anything that the chamber does has to be based on empirical data. So the approach that we are using is this business diagnosis data. So based on the data that we got on the performance of businesses, then we are able to come up with a strategy or a program that will seek to address. So it is not only this talk shop, as the CEO said, but we have identified the problem and we want to solve it until we move on to the next program.
Mark and Julius, thank you so much for joining us for the conversation. Julius Bradford Lamte, Head Research and Advocacy, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and of course, Mark Bedu-Abuaji, CEO, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and we hope for a successful program. But coming up next, we have Showbiz right here on the AM Show. We'll be right back.
And you're welcome to entertainment segment on the AM Show. The name is Ibrahim Benbako. And yesterday, well, the VGMA board organized the VGMA National Music Summit as part of World Music Day, celebrating music. And it was just to have thought-provoking conversations on 3 issues that the industry seemed to be facing, and that seemed to be a bane of our industry here in Ghana. Well, it was centered around distribution on digital media, also royalties and the way forward, and live performances. Well, that was the conversation I had with Theresa Ayowade, who is the chairman of the board of the VGMA, and she's saying that they had that summit simply to have conversations to make this industry a better one.
Well, we know in the past we've always organized a seminar, but a seminar is not as big as a national summit. A seminar picks one topic and then stretches the conversation around it, with different sessions. But what we decided to do was to look at the entire music industry ecosystem and have a broad conversation that touches on various parts of the ecosystem, and also considering the fact that the whole industry is changing at such a fast pace. So they needed to have this platform that would annually look at the entire ecosystem and value chain and see what is going on and see how quickly we can adapt, and also even be able to predict the next move of the industry and not be caught unawares or caught sitting down when things are moving forward. So there's a need to have this big high-level discussion about every industry. And that is what this platform is meant to do. So this year, we decided to focus on the income streams of the creative, starting from the royalties to the distribution of the music, as well as the performances of music, which are all income streams for musicians. And then just delve in them, have broad conversations about them, and the hope that we'll be able to fine-tune our industry to be able to ensure that musicians get full value from all these income streams.
Is this going to be an annual thing as the awards comes every year?
Yes, it's actually being held. It is our way of marking the World Music Day, which actually happens to be today. So all around the world, it's World Music Day, and so many celebrations are being held around the world. But we thought that because we have our own celebration coming up, we would rather focus today on the discussions. So it's just an annual event that will be taking place every year on World Music Day.
Well, that was the board chair of the VGMA, and which is going to take place over the weekend. That is Friday, Saturday, a 2-day thing. And, well, I'll be telling you about why the 2-day in our subsequent bulletin. But let's take a look at Professor John Collins, someone who has collected data on our high life and actually written 3 books. Well, he is saying that the West is actually collaborating with Africa because he believes that the West are running out of melodies.
So I'd say the national music of Ghana is high life, but there are many varieties, sometimes under different names. So that it's not really the importance of the name itself. It's the fact that it's a heritage that the youth today are drawing on what we call high life, and what we would have called high life rhythms. But now they don't call it high life rhythms because the word high life is old-fashioned to the youth, so they call it jama. It's just a rewording, but it's fine. Every generation, the next generation, will reword things again, and so things will change. But it's the rhythms and the melodies and so on that have been put together over 100 years in Ghana. This is very mature music. High life is as mature as I don't know, jazz. They say jazz is now a classical music. Well, because it's matured. It's the same with highlight music. So it's the heritage. And what I'm so happy about today is that after experimenting with hip hop and foreign beats, basically, Black American beats, they have come back. It started with Jammer Hip Life, if you remember, and then we now see that everybody's going back to using local rhythms. And that's what Azonto was all about. Azonto was based on local rhythms, and if you listen to Afro beats, it's basically local rhythms, local West African rhythms, but it's just very rhythmic oriented, maybe more than the classical high life with its horn section and melodies. Its electronic dance music is geared towards rhythms itself, but don't forget, rhythms themselves, if you have electronic dance music, it's basically rhythmic orientated. So the Westerners who are now collaborating with Burna Boy and Wizkid and Manifest and all these other people are actually, I think the Westerners have sort of beginning to run out of rhythms.
And that was Prof. John Collins talking to me, but in our subsequent bulletin, you're going to be hearing more on the interviews I had with all these people. And also, was actually an honor being done him and 3 other people.
Okay.
That was Kenneth Kafui, who's also a musicologist and also wrote a lot of songs, Alhaji Sidi Kubwari, and Big Ben.
Oh, wow.
And this was the first of its kind VGMA are ever instituting, that is after 22 years, and they call it the Titan Honors.
Okay.
Yes, and it's going to be happening every year.
It's been long overdue, some would say.
Well, that is what a lot of people were also saying, actually. Yeah.
They are titans, I mean, looking at the portfolio.
Yes, their portfolio. Big Ben being a music producer, Alhaji Sidi Kubwari, we all know what he's done. Kafui, yesterday was the first time I was hearing of Kenneth Kafui. It was actually a posthumous award, honor. So the family were there, and an interesting thing, the wife, the kids were there, and they actually sang a song that they miss of their father.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
and
like
I like the fact
a Father's Day present.
That he mentioned my own favorite, Manifest, in there.
Well, there's plenty of show business news. All you have to do is to log on to myjoyonline.com, and of course throughout the day here on Joy News. That'll be it for today. We thank you for your company. We will see you tomorrow. God willing.
Oh yes, we shall. Enjoy.
Bye.
Lovely day.